Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. Dave Luna, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience, man. I really appreciate you. I know you're busy because it's continuing education season within MLS and with mortgage professionals like myself. But I wanted to have you come on. And as like we talked about, everyone has a story and our passion is to help them tell it, okay? And so with your permission, we're going to start with where you were born, go all the way up to today, and then we can talk about anything you'd like to talk about. I'd love to talk about mortgage educators, mostly because you guys just knocked it out of the park as far as I was concerned. So I'm a big fan, and that's why I wanted you on our podcast, okay? So
Well,
let's talk about where you were born.
I spent most of my formative years in Southern California, not as far south as San Diego, but in the San Fernando Valley Junior High School, in Pacoima, Sylmar, San Fernando Valley Junior High, High School, Pierce College, and then Moore Park College, and then moved to Utah to go to Brigham Young University, got married, 2 kids, came back to Southern California, chose to not stay in California, personal reasons. So we now have a home in Northern California, but I also have a home in Utah, and I also have a home in Florida.
So where are you located now?
I'm talking to you today from Utah.
Okay, got it. So question for you. Growing up, where you grew up in the Pacoima area, right?
Southern Cal,
What was your favorite thing about growing up there?
If I told you probably wouldn't believe me, but it was going to Van Nuys on Wednesday nights, and it was called Van Night on Van Nuys Boulevard. And all the teenagers, all the kids would go there, Friday, Saturday night and just hang out. It was so cool. But I don't think Van Nuys would be a place that I would probably want to spend some time late at night anymore, because
Right.
Again, things change.
Yeah. Well, that was a couple of years ago.
That was in the 1970s, so that was a while ago. Yes.
Right. So you go to, which high school did you graduate from?
Graduated from Royal High School in Simi Valley.
Okay. Did you play any sports?
Football.
There you go. What position did you play?
I was receiver.
I love it. I love it. So in high school, what was your favorite subject?
My favorite subject in high school. Okay, let's see. Girls don't count. So
Yeah, they do. They do.
No.
All the stupid stuff I did.
No. I
was a
kind of
girl
like
involved.
all subjects because, it allowed me to get into college and then university and stuff like that. So I guess I was okay because the only school I applied to, I got accepted in.
Right.
So no, I'm a fan of learning. I like continuing to learn. And I think if you just kind of pigeonhole yourself, I think you shortchange yourself a little bit, because from that experience, again, let's just take Utah, for example.
Sure.
The governor asked me to be commissioner. And so as commissioner over the DRE, and the DRE in Utah is over appraisers, realtors, and mortgage licensees.
Mm-hmm.
And then going back to California, I'm now 20 minutes away from Sacramento, and Governor Newsom's office said, wait a minute, we have a past commissioner now in our state. Mm-hmm. And so I was asked to submit a resume to the California DRE. And I heard back from the governor's office, and I'm sitting there thinking, please don't pick me. Please don't pick me. I don't want to take a pay cut. And the one word I heard back from the governor's office was, quote, impressive. So being back in Utah, I was like I said, commissioner. And then after that, the next governor that came in wanted me to end chronic homelessness in the state. Mm-hmm. And I thought, okay, this is a different thing, but I'm happy to report that in 2014, when I was done with that assignment, we had limited chronic homelessness to 636 people. We knew them all by name, and we knew where they were every single night.
Wow.
So then I thought, okay, my public service is over. Then the next governor says, hey, listen, we're going to tear down the federal prison. We need to move it. We're going to build up the community, the area. And so we need $1 billion loan that the taxpayers are going to pay back. And I thought, man, what would the commission be on $1 billion? Ooh, but you can't charge points and fees on something that the taxpayers will pay back. And then it was really, really cool because where the federal prison was, it's now being built out, and it's got a lot of green spaces. It's got a lot of residential, commercial. It's close to freeways. I mean, we're going to build this community out right. And it's now on the Silicon Slopes part of the state. And so, yeah, I think I've had a pretty cool life so far. It's been really, really fun.
That's awesome, buddy. So let's go back to your decision to go to Brigham Young.
Yes, sir.
What made you decide to go to Brigham Young University?
Again, colleges in California, cool.
Yeah.
But a college is not the same thing as a university.
Right.
And so I went to the university to study accounting and management. And then I went back to Southern California. I worked for Great Western, and I worked for Mellon Bank in California. So Mellon Bank of New York, but their offices in Panorama City, Southern California. Yeah. And then GW, Great Western. And I was the branch manager of their Simi Valley office. And then I was one of their youngest area supervisors, managers. I forget what it was called. Offices from Santa Barbara all the way down to San Fernando Valley. Wow. And it was fun. It was fun. But I just realized something. I went, wait a minute, I can do this on my own. And so since those days until now, I haven't worked for somebody else. Right. I've just done it on my own. Yeah. And so, like you mentioned, mortgage educators. We built mortgage educators from being one of 280 companies to, I think we're either number 1, number 2, somewhere there in the entire country. Yeah. So I was talking to somebody like yesterday, and they said, "Well, how many loan officers did you grow in 1 year?" And I said, 30,000. And so we've been very, very fortunate, very successful at what we're doing. We hope we're doing it right. We hope we're providing something of value.
You're doing it right. I promise you.
Well, again, you're very, very kind.
So, well, I'm actually being honest. I'm not even flattering you. I was thoroughly impressed. That's why I wanted you on the podcast. And I'm also fascinated by you. And we'll get to that. But so let's talk about, so you graduate from Brigham Young. You go back to Southern California. What made you go back to Southern California?
That was home. That's what I knew. That's what I had grown up with. That's what I had grown up around. I mean, my wife and I got married in Santa Monica. We're from Southern California, you said, well, let's start from the beginning. Yeah. So everything I knew was Southern California.
Gotcha. Okay.
Other than going off to school. And so we came back to California. But for us, now with 2 little kids, said, maybe we should look at someplace else. So that was just us, nothing, but positive things about California. Love the weather, hate the cold. Utah is cold in the wintertime. Yeah. I don't ski, never skied. I'm an ocean kid. So
what precipitated you to move to Utah?
Again, going back after school.
So you went after school to Southern California, and then you ended up moving back to Utah.
Yeah. Cost of living. Again, you in San Diego, you know what the price of real estate is. Sure. I took a 50% pay cut from Southern Cal going to Utah. Yeah. But even at a 50% pay cut, we built a brand new custom home. Gotcha. And so it was just quality of life. That was one of the reasons. It's a little slower pace. Yeah. Southern Cal, very, very busy, as you know. I mean, whether you're on the 405 or 5 freeway, it doesn't matter. Right. I mean, if you go west to PCH, I mean, it's still busy during rush hour.
Yeah.
And so the pace is a little bit slower. We have a little bit more room. It's more cost effective. And so for us, right, not for everybody, but for us, that was those were the key those were the key factors for our decision.
Gotcha. I have a question for you. Now, this is a little bit personal, but when you were with Great Western Bank, did you ever interact with Great Western Real Estate?
No.
Okay.
No.
The only reason I'm asking is a good friend of mine used to be the president of Great Western Real Estate. So I didn't know if they were connected or not.
They may have been. I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, when we'd go to meetings, at Great Western headquarters, again, that was different. Do you remember Dennis Weaver riding the horse? And so those were the commercials. And
yeah,
so it was interesting times. It was fun times. It was good.
Yeah, I agree. So let me ask you this. You've been in the mortgage business for 43 years.
Correct.
Right?
43 years.
What's your favorite thing about the mortgage business?
Love talking to people. Love helping those that don't think they can be helped. Every single borrower is different. Their challenges are different.
Mm-hmm.
How we accomplish it might seem the same, but everybody's different. Luke and Hannah, first-time home buyers. Luke is here from a different country, and so he has visa requirements, meaning he cannot work. Mm-hmm. But I need a 2-year work history. Mm-hmm. We need his income in order to qualify,
right?
But I don't have a work history. So I just get a smile on my face thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be great. So I sent him to my favorite realtor. He chose a different realtor. Cool, no problem. Mm-hmm. In choosing a different realtor, that realtor has their preferred, loan officers, which is fine. Mm-hmm. And so that realtor talked to their loan officers and they said that this can't be done. You can't do this. And I had already told him he was pre-approved. Yeah. So he comes back to me all worried. Yeah. And I said, Luke, don't even worry about it. We're closing on time. Don't even worry about it.
Right.
And he said, how? And so to explain the process of, well, what was going on when you weren't working? Well, I was working he was from Michigan, I think. Mm-hmm. And so he's working for the university there. And I said, cool. Does anything there pertain to your work now? And he says, well, yeah, I was doing this. Mm-hmm. So do you see what I was trying to do? I was trying to create that 2-year, same line of work or profession. And I'm kind of sitting there thinking, okay, I can build a case here.
Yeah, string it together.
So, I mean, his income now is W-2, so I can count the income, right? The other part, he was in school or working toward his profession. I built all that thing together, and we got him closed, and he's in his home, and he's pretty happy. Yes, there was inventory problems as everywhere across the country. I'm on the road about 200 days a year. So really? I'm talking to loan officers, tens of thousands of loan officers every year about what's happening in their areas. So I can talk to you about Tennessee. I can tell you about Memphis. I can tell you about Murfreesboro. I can tell you about I can go across the state of Tennessee all the way to Johnson City. You sit there and put me into Texas, and I go, what are we talking about? Austin? We talking about San Antonio? We talking about Dallas? Are we in the Dallas-Fort Worth area? Are we talking about Flower Mound? What are we talking about? You can put me anywhere. Colorado, it doesn't matter. Florida, it doesn't matter. To me, the country is getting smaller and smaller and smaller because I understand what's happening in these different pockets around the country, which I think makes me a better instructor because I can relate to people with what's going on. You take the Bay Area, San Jose, whether it's San Jose, Walnut Creek, whether it's San Francisco, Petaluma, it doesn't matter. But then again, if I'm having those conversations, like for example, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Cincinnati asked me to speak to the banks and credit unions over there. And so I'm making a mental shift and I'm going, okay. We're not talking 1.2 to 1.7 million in the Bay Area. Right. We're talking about $250,000 to $350,000 for a single family home, right. In that area, Kentucky, Ohio, things like that. So I get a really, really good feel for what's happening across the country. Yeah. And so we try to pour that into our education, especially, when we go live. Then when people ask questions and I can give them some depth, they're like, oh, wow, this guy knows. And so it's been kind of fun. MGIC wants me to talk to them next week. Yeah, next week. And then US Bank hired me to talk to them. And so I get to talk to a whole bunch of really, really cool people and cool places. Merchants Bank, I get to talk to some really, really cool people. I used to be a consultant for both Fannie and Freddie.
I love it. So so one of the things that I wanted to share with you is I dearly love the way that you approach the continuing education that you do. And the reason that I want you to know this is you didn't know who you were talking to, of course, right? But right. I got into this business because I got turned down for a home loan. Okay. And it was a savings bank, a national savings bank that I went to get my loan done. And instead of helping me turn a no into a yes, they sent me a form letter 3 weeks after my application, letting me know that I'd been declined. So I would go into the bank branch. There's an actual branch that was here locally in the same city that I'm talking to you from. I would walk in and I would ask for the loan officer. He would run in the back and hide. I'm not joking.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you can't make this up. So I would go and I got a hold of the branch manager and I said, I need somebody to help me. And she said, well, I can't help you. I've never done a loan in my life. He's the only person in this place that can help you. And he wouldn't return my calls, wouldn't talk with me, nothing. Now, I'm kind of a big guy and I'm a little loud and I'm kind of fierce and I can look a little scary sometimes, right? But I wasn't going to hurt the guy. I just wanted him to help me figure out how to turn a no into a yes. Well, because he didn't do that, he did me a huge favor. I ended up getting licensed, ended up getting into the business. My very first month in the business, I closed a loan for a couple that was building their dream home 2 cities over. They had been turned down by 8 different lenders. Okay. I got them approved, and we got them approved 2 weeks before they were going to lose their house to foreclosure sale. Okay. Dream house they've been working on for 3 years.
Right.
That was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. Okay. Then I've become this person in the industry who I've closed thousands and thousands of home loans in my career, but I became known as the guy that just wouldn't take no for an answer. And so I would figure out a way to get people approved. Okay. And the thing that stuck out to me was how you talked about how we as professionals, mortgage professionals and real estate professionals, it's our duty to not look at how much our commission's going to be. It's our duty to look at how can we help these people? How can we help them achieve what a lot of people consider to be the American dream? Okay. I have to tell you something. I got emotional listening to you. Okay. And the reason I want you to know this is what you're talking about has greater appeal than you possibly imagine. And I want to make sure that you hear what I'm saying here. I'm acknowledging you because I'm absolutely one of your biggest fans now. You absolutely were speaking to me. You know how you go to church and the sermon seems like it was written for you? Okay. You were speaking to me. And, I'm going to give you a real quick example, if that's okay. I was doing what's called I got into the business and I was in the retail side working for a mortgage broker, and a local broker owner of an office, Realty Executive's office here in Escondido, pulled me aside and he said, listen, you're going about this all wrong. His name is Joe McCarroll. Joe's now passed away, but he pulled me aside. He said, you're going at this all wrong. You need to go to work for one of the top mortgage banks in San Diego County in production. And you need to go to work on their builder side. I have only known you for 2 weeks, but I know that you want to be the best of the best in the industry, and those are builder reps. So I go out and find the #1 mortgage bank in production. I get into the builder side and I'm cranking. Okay. So we're doing this thing called a dusty shoe opening. And I don't know if you've ever done one of those or not, but it's basically where the models are not done yet. They set you up out on a dirt lot with a table, right? And your job is to sit with these potential buyers and figure out whether or not you can help them buy a house. This couple shows up on this Dusty Shoe opening, 6-foot blonde, gorgeous woman, one of the prettiest women I've ever seen in my life. And she shows up with this guy that really doesn't look like he belongs with her. I'm sure you've probably seen those couples before, right? And so they walk on and they talk to my competitor at the first table. I don't know how that got set up, or they talked to them first, but it did. And so they talk to him, and he hands them his card, and they just kind of look devastated. And so they come over to me, and they're like, we don't really need to talk. He already told us to call him in 2 years. We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.